Okay, so today's class is dedicated by Elia Tishby in honor of the Zchut Rabbi Shimon, tonight's Lag BaOmer, and there's a tremendous merit to be part of the joy of Rabbi Shimon. The simcha, the joy of the day of Lag BaOmer is something that connects and brings blessing in a miraculous way. Rabbi Shimon was known for the miracles that he did beyond all the sages of the Talmud, which, by the way, it says about the sages of the Talmud that anyone mentioned the Gemara, the lowest, the smallest one, he was able to resurrect the dead. The student who was the most inferior, the one who knew the least, the one who was not as, the one who was far lower than anybody else, he could resurrect the dead. But Rabbi Shimon Yochai is top of the top. So it's great zchut to be part of his joy. And it should be zchut for you, Elliot, and for your family, for all good, begashmis v'ruchnis. L'chaim. Today we're going to talk about something which I think is very relevant to every one of us here, and that is how to keep a good relationship. This is something that we've seen in life. A lot of times there are people, parents and children, who they get along very well, they love each other, and the love is there, but sometimes there's like an explosion. The kids leave the house, they're upset at their parents, and it's not that the kids lose the love or the parents lose the love. The love is still there, but there's something missing. And this happens between teachers and students. It happens between husbands and wives. It happens between parents and children. And the question is, what causes an organization, a family, a school, parents and children to actually be totally united, to be a way that they're really, really connected and they stay connected? That not just that they start off good, but it stays that way. We're counting the Omer right now. When you count the Omer, there's two different parts of counting the Omer. You count every day of the Omer as one day. But there's also the goal, you have a seat. The goal is to count all 49 days, 7 complete weeks. A similar way, in every person, named Maggie, right, Maggie? Join us, the class started. There's two different parts of our two different energies we have within ourselves. Each of us has a desire to be part of a group, part of a social setting, have friends. And everyone has also a desire to be individualistic, to have their own self-worth and their own place, and everyone has both of these things. And they're both things that God made inside a human being. During Corona, there are people which were, their line of business was very related to being in an office, being private, and yet they were suffering a lot. Even though they're introverts, they wanted to be around people. And there's people which are very, they're about being part of a group, but when they have something that's missing inside themselves, so they don't feel accomplished, they don't feel that they have what they're able to give and able to get in the world. So there's two energies God gave each of us, this idea of personal success, personal achievement, individualism, and it's also this desire to be part of a group. So we're going to learn today about how there's two different kinds of energy that cause a relationship to flourish and to stay. And they are love and respect. People think that love and respect are connected to each other. That if you love, you also respect, and respect is a form of love. What we're going to learn about today actually is that love and respect are opposites of each other. And not only do they not cause each other, on the contrary, love sometimes could interfere with respect. This is very connected to the time we're in now, till the day of Lag BaOmer, which is tonight. Today we're not going to say the Tachnun in the Mincha, we're not going to say Anna, because tonight is Lag BaOmer. We're celebrating the day of Rabbi Shimon. So that's the day when the students of Rabbi Akiva stopped dying. There was a plague, and 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva passed away. And they stopped dying on Lag BaOmer. So the question is, how is it possible they lacked respect for each other? Rabbi Akiva is the author of the teaching, love your fellow like yourself, is what Torah is all about. He's the one who said that. The rule of Torah is, love your fellow like yourself. So if you're a student of Rabbi Akiva, not just you're a student in lip service only, but you actually are someone who's really dedicated to Rabbi Akiva, and you're actually listening to him, and you're absorbing him in the way the Torah says they are really the students of Rabbi Akiva, so how could they didn't respect each other? If they really absorb Rabbi Akiva's message, love your fellow like yourself, how come they didn't respect each other? What was missing inside of them that caused them to lose that respect? And we see also from the words of the Talmud that they did love each other. It doesn't say there's 24,000 students. What does it say? It says there's 12,000 pairs. Each guy had a pair. There was Elliot and Elon. Everyone had his student that he was friends with, he was close with, and there was a lot of love there. And the question is, what made them lose that respect for each other? So, let's think about love for a second. Who do you love? Who do we love? We love people which are, we love our children. We love people which are part of our family because we feel a connection with them. Who else do you love? You love friends.
The rabbi.
Thank you. You love your friends. You have something in common with. Some people you have shared values, share interests. You get along with them. They like you. You like them. Those are people that you love. Loving is about your connection with people. Loving and kindness are very connected. You love someone, you want to give kindness to them. But there's one problem with kindness. Kindness and love have a problem. It's called in the Hasidic lexicon, Yesh Misha Ohe, which means there's somebody who wants to be kind, somebody who wants to love. It's about me. Somebody passes by you in the synagogue and they need some money. So what's your instinct? Your instinct is you want to give, you want to help them out. But are you really helping them? Could be the person taking the money, and they're going to use the money for drugs, and it's not going to benefit them. It's going to be the opposite. Somebody is not looking for work. They're not looking for work. Why not looking for work? Because Yaakov helped him out and gave him some money, and Shimon gave him some money, and Beryl gave him some money. And instead of him standing on his own 2 feet, it could be, the rule of thumb is that people say this, but it's not really true most of the time, but let's say it is true. Let's say it is true that you're actually not helping him, you're enabling him. You're enabling him. What happens? Shimon goes home, his wife doesn't respect him, his kids don't respect him. You're actually hurting him by giving him the money because he needs to stand on his own 2 feet, he needs to find a job. That's possible. Don't make that judgment yourself because our human being is built, cars have alignment. If you have the alignments off, you end up going the wrong out of your lane. Our alignment is always to say that about people. Oh, I'm not going to help him. This is enabling him. Don't trust your first instinct about that. But let's say that's true. Let's say you are correct. Chesed is about I want to be kind. I want to give. It's about me. Then there's something else. Something else is gvura. Gvura means judgment. Judgment is thinking about the person receiving and thinking about what they need, what will help them, where are they, and what is beneficial for them. Chesed is about my ego, I want to be kind. Gevur is actually understanding and accepting the person for who they are. The Rebbe would give out dollars every Sunday to charity. Thousands of people would come from all over the world, all kinds of people. This little girl comes by with the Rebbe with her doll. So the Rebbe gives $1 to the girl, and the Rebbe asks the girl, "What's your baby's name?" So the secretary thinks that the Rebbe can't tell it's a doll. He's like, "It's a doll," and the Rebbe doesn't even respond to him. Says, "What's your baby's name?" And she says, "Chaya Mushka." That's the name of the Rebbe's wife who had passed away. So the Rebbe said, "This is for your Chaya Mushka. This is for Chaya Mushka." Kavod, respect means. The word kavod in Hebrew, which is a word for respect, means, as the Maharal says, means weight. That someone actually has value and worth to you. That's why the Torah says it's a mitzvah to honor your parents. Why? It doesn't say to love your parents. Of course you love your parents. That's easy. What's the meaning of mitzvah? The mitzvah is to respect your parents. What does it mean to respect your parents? You see in your parents that they have value, that they have worth, and you actually value who they are. You look for the good in them, and you value and they have weight to you. A lot of children, they leave their parents' house, not because they don't feel they're loved. They know they're loved. They say, I don't have any space. There's no space for me in my house. What do they mean? What does a kid mean when he says no space? You said, I got you an Audi. What do you mean I didn't give you any space? You got him an Audi. You got him a nice car, and you show how much kindness you have for the person. But do you actually accept your child for who they are and value and appreciate who they are? Do they have a space? Do they weigh something? It's a question you have to ask yourself quietly to yourself about your spouse. You do a lot of. The Torah says about a husband and wife. Sorry about the example. The Torah says about a husband and wife, you're supposed to love her like yourself and honor her more than yourself. To honor someone is to go out of yourself. Why do you have to go out of yourself? Hey, don't go away. No way. I'm switching subjects. To honor somebody, you have to go out of yourself. That's what the Torah says. Honor your wife more than yourself, because the meaning of honor is, what is honor about? Honor is about going away from yourself. With love, it's about you, about how you feel. With honor is about going away from yourself. I think I shared a story with Elon. There was a friend of mine, he went to the Mendel Futterfast before his wedding, and he said to the Mendel, I want advice for getting married, give me advice. And Mendel said to him, do you have a ring yet? Remember the story? No. So in short, the story was, he said, can I see your ring? I want to see if your ring is good. He looks at the ring, he says, do you see what I see? He says, what do you see? He says, it's gold, it's round. You don't see the main thing. What's the main thing in the ring? The hole. In order to get married, you have to make an empty space in yourself to accept the other person for who they are. That's the first step. So there was a guy, a very rich guy. He wanted his son to become a businessman like him. So what do? He gave him $100,000. Says, go make a business. His son said, I'm not into business. Business is not for me. His dad said, no, you go make a business. Here's $100,000. Make a business. He lost $100,000. He gave him another $100,000. He gave him $500,000. And you know what he discovered? His son's not going to be a businessman. He learned it the hard way. And the reason he took him so long, the reason it took him $500,000 is because he didn't respect his son. He didn't value his son for who he is. A lot of parents want their kids to be like them. That's love. That's connection. Love is about connection and kindness. That's not respect. Respect is accepting who is that person and accepting from who they are. When God gave us the Torah, it says that every letter in the Torah corresponds to one person. That's why it says that if there's one letter in the Torah that's missing, the whole Torah is not valid. Why not? Why is the whole Torah not valid? Because each person is represented by one letter in the Torah. If Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he was the one who taught us that if one Jew wasn't present when God gave us the Torah, God would say, wait, 1 second, where's Eli? 1 second, where's Waldo? Everyone's ready? Until someone is not here, the Torah can't be given. Why? Because we're all in this together. We're all part of Hashem's people. Everyone's precious. Everyone has space for Hashem. 1 second. There's something else Hashem tells us. If there's one letter touching another letter, pasul. If it's touching, not just you have to be there, but in order for it, how do you have to be there? How do you have to look at another person not touching? It means that they have to have their own space in your life, that you accept them for who they are. That's the trick for how some of those relationships last and they don't last. Your child is young, you pinch their cheeks, and you hug them, and you love them, and they love you, and it's great. And they grow up and all of a sudden they have different opinions than you. They don't agree with you. They have no way of looking at things. So this mizug, this combination of love and respect is why some relationships continue and last and go and flourish, and some relationships don't. It's the students of Akiva. You know what the problem was? Each student said, I know the way to study Torah. I know it's my way. My way is the way to study Torah. And they cared about it. And if you care about someone, you want them to do the right thing. So you know what he did? He made sure that every other student had to do what he does, because he does the right way. And if someone's not doing the right thing, what happens? You want to tell them the right way, because if you care about them, if you don't care about them, you ignore them. If you care about them, so you go out and you tell them, hey, I care about you, you got to do things differently. If you care. But what happens is that if you really care, you might say something in a little more abrasive than you should. There was this guy who was giving out candies in the synagogue. He had a rule. This is his rule. His rule is, I'll give a kid a candy if he sits down next to me, and I pinch his cheeks. Then I'll give him a candy. A little kid doesn't feel comfortable sitting next to this guy. You know, as children should be taught about being strangers and everything. You know, so the kid goes next to the guy and he puts his hand out. The guy says, "No, you want my candy? Want my candy? You sit down." What? The guy has a lot of love and a lot of kindness. What doesn't he have? Doesn't have respect. He's missing respect. Doesn't respect the kid for who the kid is. So this is the question we have to ask ourselves: do we really respect the other person? There was a woman who was not religious at all. She was invited by a friend of hers who was religious to spend the Shabbat, to learn what Shabbat's like. So she went to her house for Shabbat, and she had a very special, wonderful time there. There was one problem. At night, the bedroom for this guest was right next to their bedroom, and they had a heated topic to discuss. They didn't want to hear their guest hear them arguing, so they went downstairs to the living room to discuss this hot topic, this hot issue. And they were arguing back and forth for an hour about this topic. They're arguing back and forth, and they finish talking, and they walk out of the living room. Who do they see? Their guest. The guest was in the kitchen having a coffee. They wanted a special down to the living room so the guest shouldn't see them arguing, but the guest was downstairs listening to them the whole time. Okay. We're so sorry. No, you didn't bother me. It's okay. After Shabbat, this lady calls her friend. She says, I was so influenced and so inspired by Shabbat in your house. It was so amazing. You know what inspired me the most? I want to make significant changes in my life because of what I saw in your house. But you know what was the number one thing I saw in your house which touched me the most? I said, what? The argument. Why is the argument something touches me? I saw that despite the fact you were arguing, the respect you had for each other. Disagreed. You disagree. You have your opinion, she has her opinion, you're discussing back and forth. But I saw that there's this respect. That's the difference in Hebrew between the word sichsuch and the word vikuach. A vikuach, disagreement means you have your opinion, I have my opinion, we disagree, it's fine. A sichsuch means I'm against you. I'm not just I disagree with your opinion. I have something to say about you. You're bothering me. I'm bothered by you. The famous tzaddik of Kotsk used to say, the Talmud says, just like no person's face is alike, no one's opinion is alike. When you imagine you walk out on the street and you see someone who looks exactly like you. You move your hand, they move your hand. You shake your head, they shake their head. They look just like you. You want to feel good about that. You want to see. You know yourself. So he says the same is also with opinions. You have to don't be bothered by someone else having a different opinion than you. Giving that person their respect. Love is good, but besides the love, respecting and accepting them the way they are, and that's valuable. That is weight to you. There was a guy named Arturo Rosenfeld. Arturo, he was driving cross country, and he went to a gas station. I'm sorry, not gas station. He went to a fast food place where they you pick up the food from your window. Drive by.
Drive-through.
What's a drive-through? Thank you. He goes to the drive-through, and his order is taking time for it to get ready, and he is taking time for him to get his cash together. And there's a guy behind him, getting so angry. They're screaming at him and cursing him and yelling at him, and he like whatever. He doesn't look back. The guy's screaming and cursing him, and the guy in the back of him doesn't just scream and curse at him. He also moves his car up and bangs his car. So Arturo, he doesn't look back. He says to the lady who gives him the food, he says, "Here's another $10 for what's this? I want to give to the guy who's behind me." Guy behind you? What's that going to give the guy behind you? He says, I want to give the guy behind you because look at this guy. He's screaming, he's yelling. He probably has no sunshine in his life. He's probably so upset. That's why this little bit of waiting at 10 seconds drives him so crazy. Why is it driving him so crazy? Because he has no happiness in his life. So I want to give him a little bit of kindness. So he should feel a little bit of better about his life. That's someone who actually reached out to him and tried to help him. He didn't look back at the car to see, and many people would, right? To see if there's a scratch in your car, someone banging into your car. He doesn't look at the car. He just gives her the money, and she's like, $10 won't do it. There's 5 people in his car. So he pulls out his credit card, and he pays for the whole order of the people behind him, and he drives off. The next guy comes, and he takes the order, and she says, your order's paid for. Order's paid for. What are you talking about? Your order's paid for. Yeah, the order's paid. The guy in front of you, the guy you're screaming at, he paid for your order. I was like, what? He paid for my order? The guy was screaming, I want to pay for the guy behind me. So now the next guy comes. She has to explain what's going on. So she starts over. There was a guy who was cursing someone, and then and he decided to pay for the guy behind him, and the guy who he paid for decided to pay for you. Okay, I'll pay for the guy behind me. And it went on. 25 people paid for each other's.
Only the last guy wins. The last guy wins.
At that businessman.
businessman. Close up.
The point is that
take advantage of everybody.
This way I was trying to get advantage.
a friend of mine, this mother comes to him. She says, "My daughter, my son-in-law, they have no respect for me. They don't help. They don't." And she was saying all different things that she was saying. My friend is a very smart rabbi. He says the things she was saying didn't really make sense. That she was upset about these things didn't make sense. All the things that she was saying was bothering her. And finally, she threw a word. She says, "They don't respect me. They don't value me. It's not the specific things that they're not coming for Pesach, they're not coming for Sukkot, they're not letting me see the kids. It's an inner thing. In other words, when you feel respected, it's something that's very deep. And also to give respect. It's not enough that you say, hi, goodbye, hello, you're welcome, nice to see you. Like in LA, we do this thing. You know what I'm talking about? The Los Angeles wave? That's not the thing. The idea of respect is, it's a question you're asking yourself, do I really respect the other person? Do I really care about the person? That's what the Torah says. Ezel mechubad, who is someone who is respected? Hamachaved et habriot, someone who respects others. Your strength, your power, your greatest strength you have is to go out of yourself. That's your greatest power. The fact that you're able to give kindness and love, that's not your power. That's natural. The greatest power a person has is to go out of himself. That's what Rabbi Shimon taught us, he says the Torah can't be given if there's one person not there. Why do you respect another person? Where's your respect coming from? Where's your self-respect coming from? A lot of times psychologists say you should have self-respect and respect and respect. Where does respect? Why should you respect? The respect you have, it says we're taught, it says in Tanya, every single Jew is chelik elikam imal mamish. Every Jew has a part of God in them. But your part is also valuable, just like my part is. The Talmud says, a tzibur, we're going to do mincha in a second. What's mincha called? We do mincha together. What's it called? Jama jama. What's it called in Hebrew? Jama jama. I say jama jama in Hebrew. Jama jama, you don't say jama jama. Tarjumei? Tzibur. What's tzibur? Tzibur is an acronym for 3 words. Tzadikim, beinonim, rishaim. Good people, okay people, and bad people. And bad people. You cannot have a tzibur unless you have bad people. That's why Elon calls our congregation Vilda Chaya. Tzibur means that you accept the person for who they are, the way they are, and that's what makes you a tzibur. And that's your strength. Your strength is your ability to go out of yourself to accept them the way they are. You can't do it naturally. You can't do it. You have to go to give love, to give kindness. Could be yourself. To accept other person for who they are, that takes something deeper. It takes a deeper strength to go out of yourself to accept them who they are. There was a great tzaddik. His name was the Pnei Menachem. He's one of the Gerer tzaddikim. He was a child. He was in the shul, and they were doing keter on Shabbat, and they were singing keter, and he wasn't doing keter because he was talking to a friend of his. So his father was a tzaddik who was the Rebbe before him. He calls over his grandson. I don't remember his grandfather. I think it was his grandfather. Yeah, the Imrei Emes, the grandfather of the Pnei Menachem was Imrei Emes. He calls over his grandson. His grandson, I'll tell you something. When Jews go together and say keter, you know what keter means? Keter is a crown. Say keter. Keter is a crown. Everyone has their own diamond in God's crown. But God's crown is missing something. You know why? Because the Pnei Menachem didn't say keter. You have your diamond, God's crown is missing something. So just like I have my diamond, you have your diamond. And that is the power of Shema Yochai. He's telling us, Omer is coming, it's the day of Avat Yisrael. It's the day of love and connection. And not just love, but more important than love is respect. To accept the other person for where they are and who they are, and to have the other person weigh something to you. You see the other person, they have their own neshama, their own value, and you take them, accept them for the way they are. That's basically what I wanted to share today. Any questions or comments or criticism? Okay, one more thing. Rabbi Shimon Yochai fixed the problem. Till the day of Lag BaOmer, there was a problem. Rabbi Shimon Yochai, he fixed the problem. Every day we're doing the Omer, right? Yeah. The Omer for tonight is called Hod Sheba Hod. What's Hod Sheba Hod mean? You let go of yourself. You suspend the way you feel, suspend the way you think, suspend the way, and you let go. I'll tell you one story and let you go. I know everything I tell you now, you think it doesn't matter.
It's not about female, I'm really clear.
I know.
No wives, no female, no relationship, no.
One story I'll tell you. This one you'll appreciate. There was 2 guys driving a motorcycle together. Okay. One was intelligence, one was luck. Mazal and Seichel driving together.
Okay.
So Seichel is driving, and Mazal is holding on to the steering wheel of this motorcycle. And Mazal says, "I'm tired. We got to stop here." Seichel says, "What are you doing? It's the middle of the road. We can't stop. You can't stop. You can't stop in the middle of the road." And Mazal says, "This is my Mazal. My Mazal is I landed over here. It's my Mazal." So Seichel is very disturbed. He tries to go to the side of the road and convince his friend to go to the side of the road, but his friend is lying there in the middle of the street, middle of the highway, and he's nervous. Please, no, my Mazal, I landed over here. Along comes a man who had too many Budweisers. He's driving an 18-wheeler truck. He's going 90 miles down the street.
On the side, not her.
He's running on the side. He says, "There's a human being in the middle of the road." So he swerves last minute and he runs right over Seichel. The point is, in a relationship, a lot of times you'll ask people. It happened to me more than once.
Motorcycles, you put in a relationship?
It happens more parents and children. The parents and children. What happens is the person's loco. He's meshuga. He has a problem. He has an issue, and you know what the issue really is. The issue really is that it's not the other person, because it's that we are the ability to give that person the respect. One more story, let you guys go. Last story. There was a boy.
But you're not right. She killed him.
There's a boy who goes to school every day.
She killed him. She said that's her spot, because of her spot.
Who is she? There's no females. Mazal Seichel. There's a boy going to school. The teacher says, "I won't accept you in school unless you take Ritalin." No Ritalin. There was a Ritalin. Ritalin is Ritalin. I think Arga'a. The child has to take it out of the harga. Oh, he can't accept it, not accepted in school. Wow, shalom aleichem. So the teacher says this is a condition. The mother's like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I have no time. The teacher says, don't worry. I'll give the kid the Ritalin in school. Comes in school. He tells the student the first day, every day I'm going to ask you to go to the teacher's lounge and bring me a coffee. That's our code. In the teacher's lounge, there is the Ritalin. Take the Ritalin. Okay. After a month, the mother asked the boy, "How's school?" "School's amazing. I love school." "Really? What's so good about school?" "The teacher didn't like you." "No, the teacher loves me, respects me." How come?" "I'll tell you. It's very simple. We have this code between us. Every day, teacher tells me to go to the office, to the lounge, to make him a coffee. But that's just the code. In the office, there is Ritalin. I take the Ritalin, I put it in the coffee. For me, we have our own issues, and we think we should project our own issues on someone else. Today is a day of love. Today is a day of miracles. Day of Reb Shimon Yochai is a day of tremendous blessing. Let's give a bracha to all those who need a bracha for children, a bracha for children, especially like Bomer's bracha for children. All need a bracha for shidduchim, all need a bracha to have tremendous success in Hashirut, to be successful in their wealth. And Makar of Mamash, who will see Mashiach Zakein, will take me Hamash.